Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Let me know if you guys can hear, see me. Just going back to my usual setup now, but a couple of things have changed. Hopefully the audio's improved as well. But yeah, looking forward to stream today and pretty excited for getting 31. I mean, I've used only one free transfer, which means I'm rolling another one. And more than likely planning to just go for that Game Week 32 wildcard, you know? Free hit team, please. Yeah, we could do a free hit team. Doing pretty good myself, Luca. Nice to see you. Is Gordon nailed? I think generally yes. What do we talk about when we're talking about Rocky Ronald, who's EPL scouts betting Gordon? What do you mean by that? Sorry. You've got Hall already. You've got two free transfers. You've got Elf. Do you have to play Elf? Is probably my question. Favorite defender between. I mean, I wouldn't go Tete now. I'd go Bassi because there's actually uncertainty around Tete. A -4 to get to 11 players, I think I generally quite like, unless the -4 has to be for a goalkeeper. Anderson, I think I'd prefer Anderson over Chow. Rogers or Thiago. Are we talking about like playing or being in as a transfer? I probably still prefer Thiago if I'm honest. I have decided on not going Gordon in the end, basically. Wilson captain. I still have Wilson captain, but that can change over the course of the stream. You're tempted by the switch, Freddie, from Bruno to Wilson. Yeah, I mean it's pretty fun, but obviously, like it runs the risk of. Yeah, it's true. It does say Bruno top right. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one because I haven't really decided, but I might pivot towards Bruno, just because like on the latest sort of market odds, I'm actually kind of surprised, but the United numbers have gone up, as well. 700K maybe need to do risks. And Bema, I don't think had a great game last game, so yeah, I think he's got potential of being out the squad, but I don't think we have United leaks right now. We have a couple journalists who've gotten news so far, but nothing. Olympian going Wilson is not going to impact my Wilson captaincy. Please start the free hit team. Yeah, we can have a look at free hit team now. I just have an issue with my screen share, so right now this is sort of like an image of my team, but hopefully I can get that sorted. I mean, we can just discuss the free hit team anyways, right? First of all, I don't really know why you're free hitting. It's not really a great week to free hit because if you free hit now, you're going to leave yourself with a lot of problems to kind of deal with game week 33 versus 34 and the interaction of the two game weeks there. But yeah, I mean, free hit team wise, I can say the team. I'd say probably like what I would go with. I'd probably go with Leno goalkeeper. I'd go with Anderson. I'd go with Hall and Chow. That's my defense, right? Bruno, Wilson, Gordon, Palmer, Sobo. Probably Thiago, Bowen, I think is kind of how I'd round out the team. It could be João Pedro though as well over Bowen. I think that's most likely what I would rather do. But that's pretty much the team for this week. I can't really see there's too many other better options, if I'm honest, for this week. You could go Cunha as well. I think in the midfield, he's definitely a very good pick for the free hit. Hassan, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Hey, Fran, Haaland to Ekitike for -4. You've got Virgil and Sobo already, but you've got 3 non-goalkeeper reserves now. Feeling you should at least have one on the bench just in case Wildcard 32 is locked in. What do you mean by 3 non-goalkeeper reserves? Does that mean like you just don't have a bench for this week, right? I don't think you necessarily need one on the bench for a -4, if I'm being honest. If you have if what I'm understanding is you have 11 players, right? to play this week, and you just have 3 people on the bench, no auto sub option, I don't think you need to necessarily take a -4. Is that kind of what I'm getting at? Basically, if you had 1 free transfer, for example, it could be a different situation. But for a hit, I definitely don't think it's worth it. For example, like if you look at my team now, I think the reason why I've ultimately gone for the whole move is because I thought that Lefay would be uncertain to play. Whereas let's say if you have no uncertainty, so let's say all the players that you actually have on your team are not people with yellow flags, red flags, etc. Don't take the -4. Happy to kind of, I mean, if you share your team, I'm happy to kind of just keep an open eye out, and then we can kind of just look at whether there's a move to make. I generally don't think there's a need to make a move, especially if you're wildcarding, right? Why did I pick Hall over Chow? Probably lower respective ownership. I don't think they're massively different in terms of picks. Obviously, Chow much better at DEF CON, but I think Hall's XGI is a bit underrated. Also, just willing to sort of bet against the field in terms of Chow, right, as a pick. So we'll see how that goes. Another thing too is if you watch like a lot of the Sunderland games, actually a lot of the fullbacks that play against Sunderland tend to get DEF CON as well. So for a 1 week kind of punt, I don't really mind going Hall, if that kind of if that helps. In fact, what I'm going to do with the free hit team as well is I'm going to help probably create a free hit team as well, just so that people can kind of look at the free hit team on the side. But yeah, as I said, my screen share, don't know what's going on with it. Not working massively well, but I'm happy to just kind of create what I think would be the draft, and then we can just work from there, right? You got 3 non-goal people blanking reserves, Semenyo, Holland, Gabriel, bench, Holland, Takatiga, Cement to go in from I will def. No, that's fine. I completely understand. I completely understood that. Yeah, I think it's fine to have those players bench. I really don't think you need to do a -4. If you really want to do a -4, I think Semenyo to Gordon's probably better. I don't think it's necessary though. Yeah, we can definitely have a look at Discord in a moment. Let me just get finished with this free hit team. Basically the template that I quite like, and then we can go from there. If I'm being honest, I don't think my team's too far off the free hit team. It's just that I don't really want to go Gordon for 1 free transfer this week. If I had more free transfers, I would probably be on Gordon. Just being honest. I don't even really like Raul that much on a free hit because I don't think there's a 100% guarantee that he actually starts. That's my concern with Raul on the free hit. I'd probably just go João Pedro and just back. Then again, Pedro's ownership's really high. I'd probably actually go Bowen on a week like this. Just quickly sorting out the free hit team. You could probably go Cunha. You could go Tavernier as well. I do think Sobo's better than Tav. I think... Yeah, maybe Cunha's better than Sobo, which you can definitely afford. I'd probably go Cunha, actually. Yeah, now that I think about it. It's a nice way to differentiate your team as well. Let's go Bowen for the free hit. And sorry if I'm a bit tired, to be honest. I've just come back from a flight, like literally around 20 minutes ago, so bit delayed in the head as well. Lewis Hall, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Discord chat we can definitely have a look at. On free at 33 and Wildcard 35, should I sell Nico O'Reilly or Timber for VVD or Anderson to have 11? I would okay, so you're free at 33. I think the City games are actually really poor outside of 33. So what I would do is sell Nico O'Reilly, right? If you think about it, Timber on 32 is quite good. Timber is going to blank on 34, but likely Nico O'Reilly as well. Now, Timber is actually guaranteed to blank there. So maybe if you, I don't know, if you have some confidence that Liverpool would win, I guess selling Timber could work out. But more than likely, the player that, like both players, I think are more than likely to blank Gaming 34, and ultimately Timber just has a much better Gaming 32. So I'd probably sell Nico O'Reilly Linos. Is Mukiele fit? Not basically declared fully fit. I think it's pretty unsure. When do you plan to wildcard? Wildcard 32 is the rough idea here. I'm not planning to do the Gordon move. Mukiele isn't joining the national team, so I would assume he isn't available. Exactly. When do you plan to wildcard? I mean, at the same time, though, is Mukiele even a part of the French national team? Like, per usual? Hope you're well. 2 free transfers. Nice to see you, bro. Had 11 players and plan was to roll, but Goodmanson red card forces a move. You can do Nor plus Goodmanson to Cho and Anderson, or Nor plus Gu to Cho plus DCL. Suggest, please. I quite like Nor plus Gu. End of the day, Goodmanson could come good for you in future games. It's very unlikely that you will, right? So I quite like the Chow plus DCL moves. Cleve Purnama, thank you so much for the super chat. Start Krupi or Elf. I would start Krupi, then Elf in that order. I don't think you need to -4. I think Krupi will definitely play, so I think you'll be fine. Calvert-Lewin and Bowen to outscore Ekaziki in next 5 games. I think that's very likely. In fact, actually on the free hit, I probably should have actually thought about Calvert-Lewin. Would love to hear your reasoning over Holmes, Shaw. I mean, he still is a set piece taker. Probably better chances at getting bonus in kind of situations where he's going to be a little bit more dominant attacking on the ball, and I think he will. I don't think there's a massive gap in DEFCON this week because Sunderland's opponents tend to get a lot of DEFCON. Like, for example, Kadioglu, you could see, even he got DEFCON last week. I've missed the super chat. Thank you, Darren, for pointing that out. In fact, yeah. Best strat for no wildcard left. You don't like free hit 34 at all. Well, then just free hit 33, right? Which means that you should be throwing your transfers into players who will be playing in Gaming 34. So that means, for example, in a week like this, you bring in a Fulham player, right? Because Fulham will play Aston Villa in Gaming 34. So if you don't like free hit 34, free hit 33, and that's pretty much it, right? So that means you're okay to sell Arsenal players. You're okay to sell, I would say sell the Arsenal players probably first, or the City ones, right? Because City have a pretty high chance of doubling. And at the same time, selling, I guess Arsenal is kind of bad because it leaves your team a little bit worse for Gaming 32. So, Darren, that's probably how I would attack it. Thank you again, Hassan, for both your super chats. And yeah, let's go back to Discord chat very briefly. Haven't actually opened up Discord on my PC in a bit. Are you finally done with Mbemo this week? I mean, you could sell him this week if you think he's not going to start, right? I think it's pretty it is plausible that Mbemo could not start or might not start, right? I don't think that's crazy. Bamikwa says, anything against a -4? I think -4 to move Elf to Gordon could work out as a move, yeah. I'm not super opposed to that. Just because Elf seems like he might not even play. You know, the news is not that interesting. So Kim, your team, you've thought about many different transfers. You want to do Holland to João Pedro, okay. I don't really see what's the point of keeping Rice in your team, but fair enough. Because you're trying to wildcard, right? João Pedro's not even that good of a pick. He's not much of a differential either. I don't think João Pedro... I guess João Pedro does keep your options open. But not in a dissimilar way to just simply selling Rice, right? Timber to João is kind of committal as a move. I don't really know why you'd sell Timber over Munoz, though. I'd much rather sell Munoz. I'm not sure I'm not sure I really like either moves in your situation. If the purpose is to keep things flexible, then I actually, in theory, Bowen is probably the best pick, right? Because say you wildcard on 32, Bowen's probably similar quality to João Pedro this week, so fine, they're basically negligible. The next week, though, Bowen's against Wolves at home. So if you actually wanted to prolong your moves, and suddenly, a lot of people, for example, if you're delaying your wild card, you're more than likely going to swap the wild card and free hit interaction. So you're just going to free at 33. Yeah, but I don't see what's the value in Rice. Munoz has a higher chance to play in 34. But it's still very unlikely that he plays in 34. I mean, yeah, you can go for those moves, but it's not more flexible, I would say, in any situation. And Munoz is just worse than Timber inside and outside 34. I don't think JP is necessarily. I mean, you're buying João Pedro for Everton and what, City next? As I said, I would go Bowen, but you don't want to go Bowen, so because you're basically buying João Pedro for an Everton game and then a City game, and then most likely a double. But if you're going to delay the wild card, I don't really see why you would free hit on 34. Does that make sense? And anybody who's actually being flexible right now is basically saying they either want to pivot to a free at 33 strategy and have the, I guess, reserve the right to do that, which means the João Pedro move just doesn't make sense anyways, or you are basically committing to wildcard 32 and therefore saying, okay, the best player that I'm picking this week is just for this week, right? Which kind of fits with the Timber situation as well. You're not losing much team value there for Rice, to be honest. If you're wildcarding with Rice, I guess I could see the point, but 0.5 is at best a loss of 0.2, right? Because you're 0.4 off of Rice now, so you're only losing 0.2 if you were going to, I guess, repurpose the cash and buy him back, because you'd be able to sell him at 7.1, right? So how much does 0.2 factor into, I guess, your best wildcard team? If your wildcard team has Rice in it, then fair enough, you can hold on to Rice. But you'd also presumably be also losing 0.2 in Holland, so it's kind of it's a moot point, right? Because you're going to buy back both. Valentin, thank you so much for the super chat. What's the reasoning for rolling the second free transfer for your wildcard 32? Well, you just carry the free transfers into the wildcard. Free hit is a really bad move. I'll explain in a second. What's the reason for rolling the second free transfer for your wildcard 32? Well, basically, if I wildcard on 32, I think one thing to think about in terms of the footballing schedule is this week basically ends game week wise on the 22nd of March. The next time we play football is on the 10th of April. There's an international break between game week 31 and 32. People could come back, and of course, you have this information when you wildcard in 32. But you're more than likely also going to have a lot of injuries as well over this period, like coming back from Game Week 32 and maybe a lot of informational changes. So once people, let's say, play on Game Week 32, there could be injuries. And suddenly, if I'm setting up a bench boost on 33, I need every single player playing. So if I only had one free transfer, I'd leave myself with a pretty sort of difficult situation of managing a certain injury, right? Let's say a big name player is out suddenly on Game Week 32. I think one free transfer is a little bit too inflexible to set up a perfect bench boost. I probably would need to even take a hit. Whereas if I have two free transfers, I don't feel like that's... I feel like at least I'm going to be fine with that. Yeah. All right, back to some sort of member questions as well. Darren saying, will that leave me poor options for bench boost and TC then? Well, no, right? Because if you're free hitting on 33, you could still most likely bench boost on 36, because the implication of Palace actually beating AEK Arnaka yesterday, which I think is a team from Cyprus, the implication of that actually is that we're still likely going to have another double game week. So all you would really need to do is set up for that double game week and then kind of, have the classic sort of situation of you've got a good bench boosting goalkeeper, that sort of thing. Now, of course, it does sort of leave you slightly worse for bench boost 33, but at the same time, I'd probably ask you, do you think you're in a really good spot to have a perfect bench boost 33 where it makes a massive difference? That just comes down to, I don't think I don't think it's realistic that people will have a perfect bench boost 33 without a wild card. I think that's as simple as that is. You could use 5 free transfers, and I think I've got a couple of friends who actually have or in similar situations, right? Whether they're not wild carding because they free it already, or whether they're not wild carding because they're planning to free it on 33, right? So people in that situation, I think, have still a pretty strong team on a theoretical bench boost 33, but even if they did, it's pretty poor. For the people who are actually free hitting on 33, the bench boost 36 team, I don't think is massively off that, because you kind of think about how, like, you have to think about how tapered your bench boost is. Like, for example, no one really has Brighton right now in their teams without wildcard, so you need to use a lot of free transfers to get there. Same with Newcastle. You might be already stocking up on them this week. And then with, let's say, teams like Arsenal, you're already tripled up. With City, you're more than likely actually on 1 or 0 City players after this week as well. So you're actually quite poor on the wild card. And I think a lot of people only have one Chelsea. Chalobah's out, for example, so he's kind of irrelevant. Sanchez, I don't think people own too much. Between Palmer, João Pedro, and Enzo, I think people probably own one of those players. So we only have 2 weeks until game week 33, right? So if you don't have a wild card, I guess if you have 5 free transfers at this moment in time, you could be spending every single transfer left for game week 33 players. But I think all I'm trying to say is I don't think 3 at 33 is lacking in viability if you've already used the wild card. Jonathan, I didn't miss your super chat, so I was gonna get to it. Thank you so much for both super chats. So I really do appreciate that. So you got Dubravka, Anderson, Hall, Hill, Gabby. So realistically, this week you're playing Anderson, Hall, Hill. Okay, you've got Mbeumo, Sobo, Bruno, Rogers, Lefay, Ekitike. So Lefay might not play. Ekitike, Gu, Holland. So that's 2. I think Holland I think both the transfers you suggested make sense, especially with 3-3 transfers. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I don't have any issues with people selling Holland. I don't have any issues with people selling Rice. I'm just saying that I don't think there's a massive difference between selling Rice or Holland. Does that make sense? Hey Fran, start Dallo or sell Timber for Hull? Easily just start Dallo, I think. Like, for example, you're kind of in a similar position to myself, right? If I could do Enzo Lefay into Gordon, 1 free transfer, I probably would have preferred making that move than making a defensive move myself. Whereas actually, you kind of have the same situation on the flip side, where I'm still ultimately playing Maguire over, let's say, an Enzo Lefay, right? So you can see in terms of priority, like, I'd still play Dallo in that circumstance, or, Maguire, who I don't think is much different from Dallo. Going back to live chat, who's the best replacement EY says for Mbeumo? I still think it's Gordon this week. Ryan to Wilson or Gordon. I prefer Wilson personally. I prefer Wilson flat out over Gordon. I just think it's a better fixture. I think he is actually, not on penalties, but I think he's a better player. He does have potential penalty share, though. We can definitely look at teams on Discord as well. I don't think free hit makes sense, and I'll explain it, right? The thing is, game week 33 and 34 is perfectly connected to each other. So most likely, right, I would say 80% of the postponements in game week 34 that come from FA Cup circumstances are related to, let's say, a game week 33 double. Or there's just no postponement, right? Because you suddenly just have a game moving from the game week 34 postponement to the midweek of game week 34, so therefore there's no impact. So all 31 really does is, from a free hit perspective, I think bring you quite close to the team that I have now, right? So, for example, I think the only thing that changes is you probably have a slightly better goalkeeper. You probably have a third better defender. Like, people don't really have double Newcastle plus Fulham, so fair enough. You might have a better defender there. In the midfield, I don't think it's massively different from the team that I have, other than, Gordon fits into this team. And then Ekitike, for a lot of people who carry Ekitike or DCL or even Bowen, there's not many forwards this week that I think, say, are immediate value in the free hit. So against the field, for people who have planned their transfers adequately, you're at best, I think, gaining probably 2 to 3 expected value. And I think it's a very poor move compared to the expected value drip that you're going to give when you have blank gaming 34 or, a very poor team for gaming 33 on the flip side of that. Randomize, thank you so much for the super chat. You got 33 transfers and you planned on transferring Chalobah to Hall, Rice to Gordon, Cunha to Sobo. I would not do the Cunha move unless you're forced to, right, from a price perspective. You're considering taking a -4 for a Krupi to Junior to Thiago. I don't think you should do the Cunha move at all. I think the Krupi Junior move is not really worth a -4. So what I would probably say to flip that on its head is, do you have to make, like, let's say if you ignore the Cunha move, is it possible to make other free transfers such that you can kind of ignore the rest, right? I would rather just you make 2 free transfers there. Chalobah to Hull, Rice to Gordon. Can you do that? I didn't troll in the team selection video because I didn't really finalize on an option, right? If you actually listened to the team selection and didn't just watch the still graphic, you'd know. It was one of my options. One of the 3 options, actually. Walk through pros and cons and why Wilson cap. Well, Wilson's more like fixture predicated, maybe getting Raul's minutes right, maybe saying that markets, maybe even models are a little bit too high on United, for example. Like, for example, when I look at 11-5's team strength numbers and his projections for the United numbers versus what the market numbers are like, you could probably say the United market numbers are a lot higher in terms of expected goals. And therefore, that has an implication on how good Bruno is this week, generally speaking. If you kind of like, for example, Bournemouth defense, generally, like that's another thing too. Why Coleridge? It's just an effective ownership play for me. I think Chow is probably a better option. But it's one game week. I think Sunderland still gives a lot of the fullbacks that they play against good opportunities to get DEFCON. So, for example, Hall in the reverse fixture actually got DEFCON already. Kadioglu got DEFCON last week playing versus Sunderland. I quite enjoyed watching Hall, to be honest, in open play versus Barcelona as well. It's just 1 week as a punt. He's got lower ownership. I think I'd rather take Hall. I'd rather take Chow on this week. What's my final decision about captaincy? I'm not sure. I think I need to make a decision basically over the next hour, right? I'm not sure on captaincy. That's the only thing that I'll say, is subject to change. The importance of the Welsh games, I don't think it has a massive implication on what a manager does with, let's say, the minutes of football that he gives Wilson, for example, right, for this week. So that's something I thought I'd mention. Please also like and subscribe as well. That really does help support the channel, especially if you're in the chat here. Subscribing also helps you being able to sort of drop messages so we can have a look at that. I don't think Hull versus Shaw is like is like more than a 50-50 decision, personally. It's kind of the classic case if you've got someone who's got much higher ownership, and obviously Chow has much better underlying stats this season alone. But I don't think that has an implication in terms of like game to game, that means that he smokes Hull, right? Richarlison full rest midweek is quite nice. He's actually a really good differential pick for the forward position. Yeah, we can check your Discord messages. Protagonist. I'd probably play Petrovic over Dubravka, but to be honest, I guess if you're backing Bruno anyways, it doesn't really matter. Protagonist, your question was, you still have all your chips. You guess you should make your transfers targeted for gaming 31 as your wildcard in 32. Yeah, for sure. I think Gabriel out makes sense. Having said that, though, I would rather you go Guehi out and Holland out if you really wanted to do this, because if there's a miracle situation where you don't wildcard 32, I think Timber's much better than Guehi on 32. You don't really even need to go Holland out, though, my friend. You can just go 3-5-2. Honestly, all I would do is just go Guehi out. That's it. Guehi out to another player, and you're fine. Because Tavernier, Wilson, Dango, Bruno, and Jai is amazing. Thiago Ekitike is amazing. Senesi Anderson, fit to play. Your team only needs 1 free transfer, I think, in my opinion. I really would not stretch it. I think it makes no sense to stretch it. Yeah, Salah's not playing. Sobo is playing. Oh, okay. I can see people saying, yeah, the two transfers made thing in terms of the video title. That's definitely my fault, actually, because I think, um, yeah, that's poor wording from me, if I'm honest. I can only apologize for that, really. I just realized that was confusion from the private chat, but that actually stems from like that's my own fault. Um, yeah, I've just changed the title to two transfer options, but you're right. Sorry about that. Reasoning for Wilson captain over Bruno. I mean, it's just fixture, potential penalty share, all the usual stuff. Talked a little bit about how the market odds I think for United could be a bit high if you compare and contrast to other models, that kind of stuff. John says he needs one more player to field the full 11. What would I prioritize? I would just do O'Reilly to Anderson personally. Because I think if you're not confident in Newcastle, that probably means you're also not confident in the Gordon minutes. So yeah. Hey, Doctor, nice to see you. And Jai to Gordon, I think, is like a completely unnecessary move personally. Because if like I think on the optimistic case, obviously Gordon's ceiling is amazing, but if Gordon could still very well just get subbed off early. Thanks, Kim. Bao Kwai probably. I don't mind you doing the -4 for Lefay though, because he could very well just end up being a blanker. I don't really mind you taking that, making that move. Sorry. Captaincy Bruno lock. I haven't locked captaincy at all. It could still be Wilson for me if I'm honest. Should I go Chow or Hull for Gecky? Not even in Diet Gordon. I mean, I've literally answered that. I think Chow or Hull are interchangeable. Like I think they're very close. I ultimately just picked Hull. Captaincy is confusing. Yeah, fine. You know what? Let's just keep the captaincy as it is now. It is on Wilson. Would you start to Bravker Verbruggen leaning? I would do the Verbruggen thing too. Yeah. You've got two free transfers. Should you do Mukiele to Hull / Chow to Mbemo to Gordon? I mean, do you guys think Mbemo's going to start this game? Probably a good question. Neil Shaw, thank you so much for the super chat. 2 free transfers and 10 players. Mukiele is 11th. Roller used free transfers. I would use free transfers for sure. I don't think Mukiele is really going to start personally. Like for example, like in my situation with Elf or Enzo Lefay, I basically just did the same thing where I just preemptively made a whole move because I wasn't I was pretty certain that we would not get Enzo Lefay news specifically. So yeah. Mbemo should start. You have him. Does that mean he should start? Sell Elf or Timber. I would probably sell Elf if you can get like a really good midfielder like a Wilson or Gordon. Otherwise, I'd probably sell Timber. You've got Hall and 2 free transfers, or roll and start Elf. I would just go Hall and 2 free transfers personally. I don't think it's worth risking Elf as an 11th player. But is it worth the risk of playing Mbemo, or should I switch to Gordon? If you have free transfers, I'd probably consider Mbemo to Gordon. I don't think it's really worth a free transfer, though, unless you're certain that he's going to be benched. Because the thing with Mbemo is that he's got to come off the bench at the bare minimum, right? It's not like an Elf situation where like the alternative is Elf just simply doesn't play football. That would be my only concern in that spot, right? I'm going to check some United predicting lineups. Yeah, I mean, very few United predictors have kind of said they think Mbemo is going to be dropped. 3 out of 20, I believe, have done that. So that's pretty interesting context. So I think the bar for Mbemo to be dropped is probably a lot lower than we think. Or you can say the fans probably have it the wrong way around, right? Because he's been playing pretty poor recently. My captain right now is Wilson. I haven't changed it, but I could change it to Bruno. I just haven't made that decision. Oh, you've got Hall already. Oh, well, then I would just get Chow then, right? If you need to do that. Yeah, I think Mbemo's not really worth a transfer out because I think the likelihood of him being benched is quite low. It is plausible, but I don't think you play on that as if you had like making a transfer would almost be like as if you had information. I think 10 players is fine. You don't really need to be taking a hit for a goalkeeper. I think I would use a free transfer for a goalkeeper though, personally. That's up to you though. I'm pretty sure Hall starts. I mean, Trippier dropped like a stinker of all stinkers for Barcelona, so I can't really see him starting this game. Yeah. I mean, we could look at Newcastle predictors as well whilst we're at it. Yeah, like literally all Newcastle predictors, all 10 of them. I'm so bad at counting. It's literally 7 people. But yeah, all 7 people think Livramento starts. All 7 people think Hall starts. Everyone thinks Chow starts because he's a right center back. And then there's a split between Botman and Byrne, where 2 people out of 7 think Botman could start left center back, Byrne could start left center back in the alternative situations. We can definitely have a look at your team on Discord, RJ7Z. Yep. Okay, I think Discord is so bad because of the streamer mode thing. Hopefully, I can disable it. So I can see your team now. So RJ7Z, you got how many free transfers do you have? You got 3 at least. Okay. God, Goodmanson is such bad luck for you. Well, first of all, I play Verbruggen over Dubravka. Play Virgil. You now need 2 defensive transfers. And you have 5 outfield players. So you've got 6 players in the outfield and 7 players in general. Okay, well, we will be taking hits. I think you should make 2 free transfers in defense for the same defense. So if it's double Newcastle, make a double Newcastle. So Hall and Chow. Or if it's double Fulham, make a double Fulham. So go Anderson and Bassey. So that's the first thing I would do. Then I would do Rice to Gordon. Sorry, no, I would do Rice to Wilson 100%. I then would take a hit to take you out of my team and replace him with someone decent. So someone like maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If you can afford Bowen, I'd probably go Bowen. That's probably how I would play it. Does that make sense? And now, in terms of defenders that we take out, I actually think we keep Goodmanson. We probably take out Timber and O'Reilly. Or, since you're doing Rice to Wilson, you should have money. You could maybe go out a Goodmanson if you want to. Yeah, maybe you can just go out a Goodmanson. Because what I've noticed is you have value in Timber. So you probably actually want to sell O'Reilly and sell Goodmanson and sell Rice. Because, yeah, that's what I would do. Does that kind of make sense? Basically, Kim, all I'm saying is that you have an absolutely amazing position. The more you go for players like, I guess, Chow and João Pedro, the more you're going to kind of stay within the sort of ranked territory that you have, assuming that I haven't really looked at the top 50 teams in the world, I'll be honest with you, so you might be in a different position, but I'm assuming that most of those players do have players like Chow, do have players like João Pedro, and therefore making a transfer towards those types of players would kind of, I guess, keep you in a very similar position, as opposed to if you were, let's say, going for players like Bowen, or maybe going for even, let's say, an Anderson or a Hall in a certain situation, like that probably, or even let's say going Gordon, for example, this week, that could leave you with a better position in terms of attacking the same sort of expected value, but with more risk. So that's kind of up to you, right? Because you are in an absolutely insane position. So is there any chance that Chow would be benched? I think most people who are into Newcastle would say no. Is it possible that he could get benched at halftime? It's happened twice this season. I think once in UCL, once in Premier League. Still think it's rather unlikely. Yes, of course, he was poor versus Barcelona, but I don't think that drives too much of the decision making. My John says he's got Shadi, Dango, Tav, Bruno, Rogers. Don't sell anyone. I know Wilson's really nice there, but yeah. All I'm saying is this week, for example, like Chow and João Pedro are just extremely high EO picks. That's all. So if you plan to make moves towards those types of players, then I think that leaves you in a spot where you're probably not set up to gain rank massively, but you could, of course, still marginally move up rank, right? That's just the appetite thing. Punt from Pong, I think he's a decent punt because he's going to start for sure. But it's really a mediocre game for me. Rank 30k and you're chasing mini leagues, would you captain Gordon over Bruno? I'd consider it still regardless, yeah. If you have a lot of confidence in Gordon minutes. Is anybody Wilson captaining? Let's just do a quick poll. Let's do Wilson. Then we've got Bruno F. We've got Gordon. And then I'm just going to do other for anyone who wants to do that. Would you sell Alderete / Van Heck for a better fixture? I would not sell either of them for a better fixture. I think that's like a very... It's like, okay, maybe Anderson... No, it's just not worth it. Honestly, I would only do it if you had a blanker. You're going Bruno F, by the way. I think that's fine. Not locked on strategy. Fahad says you got all chips left. 9 players this game week. I'd probably sell Timber and Somerville from all those players. I mean, you're 40 points ahead of the second manager. I can't really see how you'd lose your domestic league, basically. It's kind of weird because, like, the position you're at, let me just try to actually, like, visualize what being 50th in the world is like in terms of the gulf on points. Okay, so to be fair, you're like roughly 50th right now. You are still 60 points off from the first place team. And then everything, like, I think you could get top 10 if you, like, dialed up your risk. But is it worth it, I suppose, is your question. It's a tricky one. I wouldn't go through every profile, but I think most of the teams, I'm assuming, in those ranks will have João Pedro. Yep. Almost every team that I can see in those top ranks has João Pedro. So basically, what I'm saying is if you go against João Pedro, you do stand to gain a lot, right? If he does poorly. But of course, you can make the counter argument to me that he's just been playing amazingly. Why not free hitting? I just think it doesn't make any sense. You'd much rather free hit around 33 and 34 because the double is going to be larger in 33 on our present understanding of events. And therefore, it makes the blank game week in 34 also larger. And yeah, I think if you think about chip strategy as well, if you were to free hit this week and you only have wildcard left, you're probably not set up well to manage a potential double game week 36, which is very likely right now. So part of the value of having a wildcard and free hit left is you have a wildcard and free hit to address 2 out of the 3 sort of bigger fixture kind of like, I guess, impacts on the schedule. So blank game week 34, double game week 33, and double game week 36. Am I locked in the captaincy? I'm not locked in. I could change. There's a lot of Wilson captaincy in the chat. Is that true? Don't tell me you guys are clicking Wilson captaincy because I'm saying I'm going Wilson. I'm going to end the poll there because I'm going to choose to believe people. You captain Wilson motivated me? Okay, well, don't blame me if Wilson doesn't do well. People follow a lot of times what the streamer's going for. At least it is higher in the results than it should otherwise be. Yeah, of course. I don't mind the Chow move so much, by the way. I just think the João Pedro move is an opportunity for you to differentiate. More so than Chow, right? Because I think, like, if let's say, like, if I look at your team, you already have Anderson. So at that point, like, the only defender you're really going to bring in this week is a Newcastle one. So therefore, like, the difference between Chow and Hall is not massive from a risk perspective because you're still back in Newcastle clean. So I think so yeah, that's kind of why I think it makes so much sense to go against João Pedro. But as I said, up to you. Current rank 71, awesome. Should I do Holland to Bowen, Dubravka to Leno, and Munoz to Anderson? I mean, if your plan is to actually free hit on 33, I think that makes a lot of sense. Is that kind of the strategy you're going for, Throwback's father? Because I feel like those transfers are a little bit more geared towards free at 33. I'm happy to discuss that further, but yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. 3 FTs, 0.7 in the bank. Would you sell either Enzo or Sabo for Gordon or Wilson? I don't think so. But if you got 3 transfers, I don't really mind Enzo to Wilson, to be honest. I don't really like Enzo that much. Irfan, I actually missed your super chat, so I do apologize for that. You got 3 FTs. You're definitely playing Kelleher. You're definitely playing VDV. You're definitely playing Alderete. And you got Anderson, Senesi, Sabo, Bruno F, Rogers, Sade. Already wildcard 24. That's still a good team, though. The only problem, I guess, is you've got right now. What I'm struggling to understand is you got, okay, Sade, Rogers, Bruno F, Sobos, and Nessie, Wilson. Sorry. So the Anderson you're talking about is actually defend. You can roll. You can roll. Wait, no, you need one defense. You need one forward transfer, right? Or one defensive transfer. Wait, no, you got Gab, Holland, Mane, bench. Oh, because you're playing Alderete, VDV, Anderson, Senesi. Yeah, you could roll, actually, still. I think you could roll. But, yeah, I think you need to roll because you're on a wild card, right? There's so much information that you can gain from a as someone who's already used a wild card that you need the 4 free transfers on 32 with the information of what happens in the FA Cup to be able to maximize on this. Naz, thank you so much for your super chat. Nice to see you. Are you from Singapore? That's awesome. I only have Rodon playing and 1 free transfer. Should I take a -4 to get 3 defenders playing, or should I just play with 10 players? I don't mind a -4. If you can buy a double defense stack that you like, so for example, double Newcastle or double Fulham, I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's worth a -4. Why Hall and not Cho? I just wanted a bit better differentiation in terms of the ownership. I still think he has some attacking value. I don't think he's that much, for example, seeding towards Chow as a pick. So that's pretty much it. I tend to just pick lower effective ownership players because that's just my personal play style. You know, if I had a 50-50 between 2 players. Maybe you could argue it's not 50-50 because this is a set-piece league. Chow is a def corner. He's a center back with some of the craziest NPXG numbers that we've seen this season. And I wouldn't really have much to argue with you other than, I can pray for more bonus situations. And then also just the simple fact that Sunderland actually do tend to play fullbacks in a way where they can still get DEFCON, right? So look at the reverse fixture for an example, and then look at Kadioglu last week as an example too. Karen, nice to see you. Happy Friday as well. Used all 3 of your FTs, crunch time this season. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. Day is good. I just actually flew back and arrived in London like very, very recently. So pretty tiring if I'm being honest. But I'm happy that, we got to stream and all that. And thank you guys so much all for the support. Really do appreciate that. If you guys like, subscribe. That really does help support the channel. So thank you so much for being here. Would you bring in Gordon or Sobo? Personally, I would actually bring in Gordon for this week. Penalties. Well, actually, Sobo's on penalty. I actually forgot about this, but Sobo's on penalties, right? Ooh, I didn't actually think about this. I'd still go Gordon, though. I think it's a better fixture. Thoughts on Frimpong 1 week punt? I don't mind it so much, but I still prefer a Newcastle or Fulham defender. Captaincy wise, I think I'm gonna go Wilson personally. Thoughts on using the free hit chip? I think it's really poor for this week because I think there's very likely going to be a double game week around 35 or 36. There's going to be a double game week in 33, and there's going to be a free hit that basically opposes the double game week in 33. So you basically need at least 1 chip to manage the swing between 33 and 34. you're most likely going to need another chip to just generally set up a bench boost. And if you use a free hit now, you're therefore not going to be able to set up basically adequately, I think, for the swing between 33, 34, and 36. Does that make sense? My Johns, I really would not use a free transfer. Hall, I've just gone for just from a risk perspective. So just lower effective ownership, basically, is why I've gone for him. Christian, nice to see you. I'd be so tempted with going Palmer in your situation. I'm not gonna lie. That could be fun. Anybody have Tarkovsky for this week and kind of uncertain on what to do? 3 FTs, Ayer and Dango to Bassi/Tete if he's okay, and Wilson. Just can't trust Ayer and Wilson to protect Millie League rank. I think that's fine. Because yeah, I also don't have the same confidence that Ayer would start, to be fair. Iwobi and Wilson captain. I don't mind Wilson captain. I'm not so sure about Iwobi. But if it's just one free transfer, fair enough. And you have a bank. Fran, you got 11 players starting with Granit Xhaka. You got 4 FTs. Replace Xhaka with a midfielder. There's no one at the 5.7 range that I would really spend a free transfer on. I think you're fine just relaxing. Wilson captain is locked. Andre, nice to see you, my friend. I'm not telling anyone that they should be going Wilson. I just like the Wilson pun. That's all, right? You know, if Bruno cooks, then fair enough. I'm just an idiot. Yeah, I'm Wilson captaining. Sorry, I've got a phone call. Hello? Hello? Yep, sorry, just one sec. Yeah, sure. Sorry. Are you nearby? Yeah, I have your back. I do apologize. I had to got a call from my Uber driver basically. Funny story, because I was so tired and yeah, I accidentally took his bag out the car. What an idiotic move. The FPL cartel. Yep, I actually just had to take a call. Yeah, I've taken a call and now I'm gonna go Bruno. Sesko starting confirmed. Ooh, I'd probably do it. I'd probably go out of Mbemo. Who's giving the news that Sesko's starting? Let me have a look. Who actually says Sesko starts though? From a journalistic point of view, not people just gaslighting me. I took his bag out of the car because I was like, yeah, I don't even know. Crazy. Because basically, I've been traveling with suitcases, right? So I've been used to carrying bags around all day, including bags that are my own, like for example, like my parents' bags. And yeah, I just straight up took his bag out the car. I'm not a thief because I reported it, right? Is that how that works? Literally just a bag, like a carry bag, right? I don't know. Bags of knowledge. Robbing bag sounds like cartel behavior. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what cartels you've been looking into, but yeah. Any advice for a Salah replacement? Probably Palmer, to be honest. Frimpong is definitely an option. I think Anderson's still better than him. If you change your captain, we will snipe you. I mean, I'm probably the only member in the cartel who's going Wilson captain, right? Just a cartel captaincy right here. I mean, think about it. Right? This is the full copium dream, I guess, is what if United just dropped the stinker? Playing versus Bournemouth, right? Do people actually really want me to go Bruno captaincy? I'm still getting asked questions about it. Bags of snow. Interesting. Verbruggen or Dubravka, I'd play Verbruggen just for the home game. Is it worth starting Krupi? I think it's worth starting Krupi. Yes, I do think so. Petrovic over Dubravka, I probably would play Dubravka, if I'm honest. Look at that 50-50 poll here. Do not go Bruno. Do you guys think you're going to get a Bruno hole without me? Be honest. Be honest. Anybody who wants me to do bad in the chat, you might as well just admit it. Someone's going Chow captain. I've seen Hall captain. Now we have Chow captain as well. Bruno take a punt. Which teams are likely to double in Game Week 33? Arsenal, Newcastle for sure, Chelsea and Brighton, and then it's City and Burnley most likely after that in terms of order. But that's much less likely and much less guaranteed. So the first two doubles are guaranteed. I ultimately just have not done the Gordon move because I really do want to roll a free transfer into the wild card if I'm going to wild card in 32. What do you think of this move? Ekitike to Bowen or Ekitike to Bowen and stack to Wilson? Do we really need to be doing Ekitike to Bowen? What if you could just roll? Would you consider captaining Jimenez? No, because I wouldn't even be like 100% certain he starts. If Wilson holds, we will be so back. Bruno will be 90 to 99% captain top 100k. Of course, it's massive risk, but that's the risk that I like taking, right? We need cookies. I don't have any cookies right now. Literally just came home. -4 to field 11, but Gakpo is 1. No, I wouldn't replace Gakpo. I mean, Salah out is massive, right? It helps with the Gakpo piece. Hey, Fran, Holland to Bowen, no wild card. I'm thinking free at 33 as I need to field 11. Yeah, Holland to Bowen's a very strong move for free at 33. 100%. 11 starters, but 1 is Keane. Worth -4 for Chow. Probably not. No risk, no story. Do you think Enzo Lefebvre will start? I actually don't think so. And also, would you get Wilson, but you're guaranteed to have 1 blank, or get Ekitike Bowen and start Lefebvre? No, I'd probably still get Wilson, because I think Wilson's so much better than the forwards. Best mid apart from Bruno if chasing. I don't even mind taking a hit for a forward, though, by the way, after you make the Wilson move. High risk, high reward. Best mid apart from Bruno. Probably this week. It's kind of dull, isn't it? It's like Wilson still. Or Gordon, one of the two. Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. I have to. I'm sorry, but gosh. All right. Gosh. Um, just got contacted again, so I had to respond. Alrighty. Anderson to Wilson. I don't think that makes sense. That's Elliot Anderson we're talking about, right? I don't think that makes sense. You're going Palmer. You don't care. Fair enough. Don't care. I like it. Would you start Trufe or Maguire? Probably Maguire. Can you help me explaining your Wilson reasoning for Wilson captain? Just to have a little bit of fun in the world, you know. I do think captaining Palmer actually is like elite. It is elite chasing Jangster because the effective ownership will be so low on him. So if you really like the risk, then yeah, that's all there for you. What would you say is the best four this week? I'd probably say Bowen or DCL. Lafayette to Gordon, I think makes sense as a move. Which combo would you go for? You've already got Anderson. What's the other combo? Have I missed some super chats? Nope. Fortunately, thank you guys so much for the support, though. Ending the poll. People want me to go Bruno. I don't know. What's wrong with like a little bit of a succulent Burnley at home game? Or maybe Bruno is just the GOAT. And I'm missing something. Richarlison I quite like as a free transfer. Maguire to Hull I don't think is worth it for free. But to be fair, the double up is worth it if you have more than if you have more than one free transfer left, I can kind of understand that. Okay. I don't know. Bruno's gonna come up first. I'm gonna regret it so hard if this flops, if this move back into Bruno flops. But do I want to watch a football game on a Friday night with Bruno? You sold DCL for Richarlison, Kieran? Fair play, man. I respect that. Do I want to watch Man United play football? Yes or no? That's the question. I'm not even a United fan, which a lot of people accuse me of being. Why do you like the idea of Bowen over Ekitike as Pedro? I think he's a bit better for a chip agnostic strategy. You can only win FPL by being a degenerate. Okay, that sounds nice. Play Haaland instead of Thiago. What for the auto sub? I'm good. Okay, I think. Okay, I think I might pivot back to Bruno. I'm sorry. I'm weak. 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 Fran, as a Chelsea fan, thoughts on Chalobah to Gusto? You've already got Senesi, Virgil, Tio. This is not a great Chelsea game, though. I have to go Wilson. People are calling me weak. People saying that I'm folded. Where's the fun? Nah, chat's actually killing me here. Nah, I'm actually getting peer pressure. This is crazy. Yeah, fine. Mo, thank you so much for the super chat. Bowen plus any defender, but losing Holland. Okay. Or DCL plus Bassey, keeping Holland. Don't have a chip strategy, but yeah, I actually like DCL plus Bassey. Go for it. Peer pressure is dangerous. Unsubscribing, you cap Bruno as well. You're 5K in the world for a reason. Stick to your guns. Do you want to have to change my graphic? People are unsubscribing. That's crazy. Distressing content. That's crazy. Cartel told me not to captain Wilson. Or a gamble. Relax. I'm not in the manosphere. Should I captain Max here? How bad could it be? All right. We'll go Wilson captain. We'll go Wilson captain. Fine. Why Hall over Chow? Similar quality picks. I think I just went to go with the less owned one. To be honest, nothing too particular. I also really liked watching Hall versus Barcelona. You knew you couldn't go Bruno. How will you look myself in the mirror? I don't know. By knowing that all of you guys have Bruno and you're forcing me to go Wilson just to laugh at me later if it doesn't work. I like 50% of chat said that they're captaining Wilson. You guys know that's not even true. I bet 80% to 100% of the chat is all on Bruno. The effective ownership when I log in later for Twitter in 45 minutes is literally going to be Bruno 190% ownership. And people are going to say that I'm weak. You're all weak. Yeah, that's right. What are you guys doing with Captaincy? When you'll okay, after Bruno blanks first Bournemouth away, after a full season of Bournemouth playing defensively well at home, you're gonna go look at the mirror and say you and Bruno captain. Yeah, nice one, guys. Intervention 58. Thank you so much for the super chat. Haaland to Thiago, Semenyo to Sobo, O'Reilly to someone. Do you need to make that move? Like in terms of you need a defender? If you need a defender, I'd probably go Anderson or Hall or Chow. Like any of the three are good. Still on Bruno. Golden rule of FPL: form over fixture. That's definitely not a golden rule of FPL. I actually believe that fixture is over form. It's just that obviously Bruno is world class, right? And Wilson is not quite world class. Rohit, nice to see you, mate. Give me some strength, brother. DCL's minutes are fine. You think him missing a penalty is going to make him lose minutes? Don't worry. That was priced into the transfer of DCL. You need to make 3 FTs to field an 11. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Intervention. I would probably make one of the... I would probably go Anderson, then Hall, then Chow in that order. Bruno's your uncle. Keep it in the fam. What does that even mean, brother? Someone's swearing on their mother that they're on Wilson captain. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. The reasoning really is just, a little bit of YOLO, a little bit of Bournemouth are good at home, a little bit of markets are maybe too high on United, a little bit of Wilson for the aura, maxing, or whatever that means. What do people say nowadays? 6, 7? Something like that as well. I don't know. Stuff like that, basically. Right. Do I go Bruno? 7 minutes. Mocked. Hi, Fran. Is it worth NGI to Wilson? I don't really think it's worth it. But if you want a captain, I can kind of see the value of it. I do think Wilson is the Aura Max captain. To be fair, have you seen his jawline? Yeah, let's be honest. If you just add jawline to jawline, you'd probably go Wilson captain as well, right? Hamad, thank you so much for the super chat. Timber to Chow slash Hall. I'd probably go Hall, but both are fine. Or Holland to JP slash Ekitike. I kind of like the defender move personally, my friend. Unless you really need Timber next week and you're not planning to wildcard. Top 800 and you're going Wilson captain. Love to hear that. Love to see that as well. Is Newcastle blanking? Give me 34. Very likely they are, yes. All Arsenal need to do is beat Southampton in the FA Cup. You've got 3 FTs. You will wildcard next week. Is it worth transferring one to bench Tarkowski? I think it is worth it, yeah. I don't think Moyes' cloak was very helpful. In fact, it was terrible. As a Sunderland fan, finding it very hard to bring Hall in this week. Could you bring in another Fulham player, like maybe Bassey? Just go Bassey, you know? Is that not possible? I'm stressed. I'm gonna be honest. I'm stressed. This captaincy is stressing me out. I'm stressed. Gunnar Lad says play 10 or get rid of Semenyo for Gordon. I would go Semenyo to Gordon for sure. Wilson cap FTW. Wilson 100% captain. 99% captain. Elevator pitch on Wilson captain, please. I'm starting to fold. You know what? You guys pitch me Wilson. You guys pitch me Wilson. Why did I go Wilson captain? Oh man, I don't want to watch United play. You know what? I'll just have dinner with the family. Yeah, I think that's better. 8 p.m. game. You could miss an 8 p.m. game. Bournemouth at home. Bruno has 4 goals and 4 assists in 8 games for Bournemouth. Nah, you know what? We're fine. We're fine. Stressing over nothing. Sabo or Gordon? Holland blanked against West Ham. That's because Holland's bad, right? But Bruno's good. See, I can defend that. Go for it, Fran. I'm with you, captaining Wilson. That's what we like to hear. Gavino, you got 2 FTs, 350k. Mukele is your 11th man. Would you go Rice to Gordon slash Sabo? I'd probably go Gordon if I'm honest. And you already have 2 FTs. Rice keeps wildcard 35 open. True. Wilson's gonna blank so bad. James, why are you doing this to me, man? Is Gordon the best 1 week buy if you already have Wilson, Bruno? Yeah, he is. Lo siento, Wilson. What? Anderson to Gordon. No, that's not worth a move. Burnley have conceded 35 goals away from home. Bournemouth have conceded 15 at home. That's what I'm going to be repeating every second up until the game starts. You just got DCL. Love to hear that. Start Rodon or Hill. I'd start Rodon personally. Golasso Wilson. I'm stressed. I'm actually very stressed. Honestly, how bad could it be? How bad could it be? That United game will be so tense to watch. You know, for rank's sake, it has to be Bruno. No, it's fine. I don't mind Wilson captaining for rank. I can take Bruno. Everyone has Wilson and Bruno, but most will captain the latter. True. So that's basically just me saying, do I want another Wilson or another Bruno? Chasing that record. Wilson all the way. He blanks my GK shines. That sounds terrible, brother. Wilson better fixture. Have to captain him. Okay. I need to lock in. Man, I think I'm just going to Wilson captain. Yeah. Okay, that for -4, I think is potentially worth it if you can bring in a Fulham or Newcastle defender. I'm just gonna Wilson captain. It's fine. It's fine. Or do we Bruno captain? I'm gonna do an Andy. Save my team. Bruno captain. No. We held on Wilson. Held strong. Ah. All right, guys. I'm. Do not message me if Bruno holds. I won't see that. I won't be online. Yeah. You decided to choose Wilson as your captain. I've made a huge mistake, haven't I? We tricked him. Like that. Let's go, Wilson. We committed. Let's go. That's why he's the GOAT. Good luck this week, Kearney. Good luck, Nick. Went Wilson caps well. Bruno hate watch. I don't know if I can watch that. I mean, Bruno's not getting benched. Oh, mate. I don't know, guys. I'm sweating. Bruno will kiss us all. Or kill us all. That's a lot worse. Yeah. Do be like that sometimes. You know. Sometimes you just have to captain someone different. It happens. It's all good. Believe. Just did it because Bruno plays the first game. If Wilson holds, you're buying lads. What does that even mean? Thanks for winning me 2 penguins off of Mo. What does that mean? ChatGPT said Wilson after calculating XGI. All right, Jack. You, me, and ChatGPT. Let's go. It's either a low cortisol weekend or high cortisol. True story, bro. All right. That is it for the stream. Should we stay for the United lineup? He bet me 2 penguins you would captain Bruno, and you said you're too analytical. What, like Mo? I mean, I'm too analytical. What does that even mean? What did Mo do as a captaincy? Let's see. Has he captained Wilson? Yeah, I know. Sorry. I always forget his name because I recognize Mo as, Mo in person. Wilson too, fair enough. 2 analyticals crunching the numbers. No, I get the joke. All I will say, right, is when I'm at an FPL meets and everyone's there in the pub, quote unquote, watching football, me, the guy crunching numbers, watches more football than anyone else. Trust. Please online, Fran, Bruno Hall. What is that even supposed to mean? Why are you hoping for Bruno Hall? We're better than Bruno captainers. Yeah, if we outscore them, we are. Is Fran cooked? Possible. Can confirm that's true. Went Wilson C and Bowen, you're not alone, brother. Love to see that. Love to see that. I mean, I could do, if Maguire scores, we're chilling, right? We're chilling. If Maguire concedes and Bruno does a madness, you best believe I'm not logging on. You best believe. You'll never see me again. Huge red hour for me. Yeah, Bruno with the red card is actually quite nice. Would like to see that. Just wild card off of Bruno. Fair play. Part of the strategy, as they say. I think that's a really good strategy, no? If Bruno holds, might need 6 months to recover. Let's not talk about it. I'll talk about it. Bruno blank day versus Bournemouth. The upside is nice for sure. A Chow Hall is coming, fair enough. Maguire captaincy was the move. Yeah. You went Sar Palace to Gordon. I think that's a strong move, yeah. No complaints about that move. What are your plans for the coming weeks as a content creator? Probably just need to set up a couple more content in terms of like short form content and stuff like that when I get back onto doing that. 90% captaincy Bruno. If he blanks, welcome to the top 2K. I mean, to be honest, if Bruno blanks and Wilson holds, I can easily go right above the top 2K. Pedro might hole out of nowhere. Yeah, that sounds like the most Joao Pedro thing ever. Sounds like another week for Joao Pedro. Jay Pity. Sorry. That's yeah. Moving on. Yeah. Wildcard 32 video. It makes more sense for us to make the video after the FA Cup games, you know. There's really no reason to rush into it. I'd rather create a higher quality video for you guys. So basically, okay, I can clickbait and just make a wildcard 32 video like first draft if you guys really want me to do that. But I think it just makes so much more sense to make the video after the 5th of April. Yeah. And what do you guys think? What do you guys want to see as content this week? Am I committed to wildcard 32? For the most part, yeah. You dropped one personally today. I mean, to be honest, we could do it for the transfer plan video. Like just do a mock wildcard if you want to do it. I don't think I'm gonna jump onto price rises today. It doesn't really make any sense. Yeah, we're waiting to push the button. Jenny speaking, yes. I mean, it's a fair point. When would I triple captain if I still had mine? Probably around like game week 35 or 36, whenever the next double drops, like the next non 33 double drops. I don't think it makes sense to do it now. Looking at my team, how many am I saving wildcard 32? It's hard to say. Why are you saving transfers for after your wildcard? Well, just in case, for example, if I wildcard and then I just go into game week 33 and I've got injuries and I want to bench boost in 33, I need to protect myself from that a little bit. You know, does that kind of make sense? You can already do 1 or 2 transfers for price rises and press the button later. Yeah, but that would mean that the transfers that I have to make were specifically people that I would actually want to have in my Game Week 32 team, right? Which doesn't make any sense. No, like there's no way I'll get enough information to even be able to do that. Really, I don't know. I hope that makes sense. Allison is out tomorrow. That's not surprising. Captain Wilson was stupid and illogical. I mean, on what basis? Number one in your mini league missed deadline with 6 Arsenal's and Man City players. I mean, has he also been missing at FPL? Will Wood says also did Holland Wilson actually feeling fairly bullish versus the more common Shaw and Bruno. Yeah, I mean, let's see how it goes. Let us see, as they say. After work, yeah. To be fair, after work deadlines are pretty tough. Aina's actually not too bad of a move. I kind of prefer Nico Williams though, generally speaking. Yeah. You worried about Bruno? That's fine. Good luck, Adam. Do you ever go to games? Yeah, I tend to go to games, but only like with a friend who might support another team, and then I just like I would have a reason to do that. Um, would I still have done the C if I were ranked like 600k, 400k? Yeah, sure. Yeah. I just honestly, I just like. I mean, I play with analytics. I play with models. I mean, even if Bruno's marginally ahead, like I don't really mind. I mean, I think that there's enough of the basis to Captain Wilson, honestly. Yeah. So do be like that sometimes. Bruno can destroy me, and that's fine. Team do I support? Just Real Madrid. Bruno red card. It's terrible. I actually came back from a trip to Spain, which was lovely. To be honest, yeah, okay, Bruno's not getting a red card, but I will celebrate it. Let us just say that. Who do you think will get promoted, or like other than Coventry? Um, Actually, a pretty tough one, right? Because it's like pretty close to that second spot. Um, I think Ipswich are probably better than Middlesbrough, but will they actually like see it out? Yeah, let's just say Ipswich, and I don't know. Honestly, I think the top three teams right now are the three teams that should get promoted. So yeah, Mbemo starts. Yeah, I don't know. I think people were like way too worried about Mbemo. That was pretty. Yeah, Sesko benched. Yeah, someone's saying Sesko starts. Absolute copium. Yeah, Bruno's gonna hurt me. It's looking bad. I mean, Mbemo still starts because I think you'd probably even say like based on the team, like having someone who runs in behind is just generally better as a tactical play versus Bournemouth, right? I think if they played a team like West Ham, I think Sesko would be starting. Is the way that I would see it. Borough have Kim Helberg. You mean Mbembo's not running in behind? I mean, he's not. He's also not really sort of playing teams that do allow for him to do that, right? I guess if you want to put it like that. Whew. That was a rough deadline. All right, I think that's it. 2:45 a.m. Thank you, Blob. Thank you for being here. FPL mate changed captains to Bruno last second, so you weren't the only one thinking about it. I mean, I didn't actually move to Bruno, right? Wait, he went from Wilson to Bruno, or he moved away from Bruno? Just to be clear. I get it though. It's like, you're playing against the rest of the world. Like it feels like that sometimes as a content creator. We'll see how it goes. He went Wilson to Bruno. Fair enough. I can't hate it. I don't think I can knock that as a move that much. Like I think it's fine. Do we have the lineup? The lineup for United. Yeah, we can just chuck it in. Oh wait, no, it's like on the website. But I mean, it's Lamens, Dallo, Euro, Maguire, Shaw, Casemiro, Menu, Ahmad, Bruno, Cunha, and Bemo. Hurts to see Bruno captain on the lineup, but you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. Dinner is probably going to be Vietnamese. I'm going to head out soon. So thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Really do appreciate you all for being here. But yeah, I'll catch you guys another time. Hopefully you guys enjoy the United game a little bit more than myself. Otherwise, yeah, take care. Goodbye. I'll see you guys.